why I feel like Allison's have a satanic core is that she was willing to allow her teenage daughter to get on such a cruel platform. The internet is so cruel. To get on such a cruel platform and talk about this man like he didn't raise her. The disrespect to a black father who was being a father. The disrespect, which again, they hate y'all. But y'all want to be wanted and desired by them so much, and they hate y'all. And y'all refuse to want anything that looks like your mother's. Welcome to the Just Healing Podcast. To all of my healers who are already just on board, part of this movement, welcome back. I'm going to address you guys, ask you guys how you've been doing, you know how we roll. However, first I need to welcome new listeners, new healers, maybe someone who doesn't even know that they need to be on a healing journey. Welcome. I created this space, this podcast, this YouTube, this just movement. That is really what I want to call it, because I just know that it's just the beginning. But I created it because I knew I was walking into just a different era of my life after coming off of the hills, child, the heels, okay, the heels of probably the worst. I'm willing to bet like at least $10,000 that I had one of the top worst relationships. I don't know if we need to divide it by city or what, but it was trash. And healing from that, I think, has really just shown me that at the end of it all, I'm grateful that God allowed me to keep my heart posture, and that, you know, it happened so that I am a walking testimony. And I hope to build a community of other healers who have similar stories and want to share or don't want to share, just want to listen. I think listening sometimes is just as powerful as sharing. So this is the space, Just Healing. I don't know if I ever talked about it. Actually, I came up with the name Just Healing because, number one, I had all of these names just like written down, and I would just try to like write down at least like 3 names for my podcast every day, and I just could not come up with a name. And I like prayed on it, and finally one day I was writing down names and God revealed to me Just Healing. Like, you're just healing. That's all it is to it. Like, don't overcomplicate it. You are just trying to heal. And I piggybacked off of it though with the fact that I love fashion, I love beauty, and so that's where the heal came. But also my last name is Hill. Can't wait to get that back, but we're speaking it already. So yeah, my last name is Hill, but heel, like a shoe, that is how I came up with Just Healing. And then of course my first name is Jasmine. If I didn't say that, I'm sorry. My name is Jasmine, your host. But yeah, my name is Jasmine. So the JH is the Just Healing, but also obviously what I'm doing. And that is what God kind of just revealed to me. It's like, don't overcomplicate it. You're just healing. Like, that's all you're trying to do. Like, you're just trying to heal, just trying to mother, just trying to move past what was the hardest part in your life. So that's what it is. I do the healing through a lot of different just areas. I've learned to be more transparent. I've learned to be more vulnerable, honest with myself and my feelings and how I'm feeling. I've always been someone who, I'm gonna cry, but I'm also gonna laugh about it. But I've learned to like cry and get it out, to others and not just hold it in. I'm still working on that. So if you're anybody who's listening and you're close to me and you're like, girl, you do not be crying to me, I'm working on it, okay? This is all a work in progress. But ultimately, I wanted to build that community through those things, through the laughing, through the crying, through the being transparent, through the vulnerability, and just knowing that, even if you need to be a little petty sometimes, that we do that here too. You are welcomed here. I just wanted to build this community because I realized that you can journal. Journaling is great. Giving yourself positive affirmations is great. But at the end of the day, if you're all holding that to yourself, how are you helping other people? How are you helping someone who could be in the same position as you if it's in your journal? So I think if you're willing and ready to share, I definitely would advocate for that. I think it's great. It has been definitely healing for me. And so, I think it's good. So, welcome. Hope that was a good welcome. I start off each episode with a healing with feelings. This is where, just as I said in my intro of what this is, I have not always been the best to be honest about my emotions with myself or other people that I'm close with. So healing with feelings is where I think about the emotions on a feelings wheel, and I try to think about what am I feeling instead of just saying I'm okay or I'm doing good. How am I really feeling? And if I had to just, think about how I'm feeling today, I would say I am hopeful and faithful, and just trusting God. And so those emotions are interesting because you can have fear, but you can also be like, but I'm really hopeful. I have this fear because of course we all fear the unknown, but when you bring faith in there, the faith outweighs your fear. It always will. And sometimes fear tries to creep up and say, move over faith. And faith is like, nah, first of all, actually, I'm here. You move over. And so that is how I'm feeling. As I always say, it could be a totally different emotion tomorrow, next episode, but that is the beauty of really asking yourself. So to my healers who have been in this thing with me for a few episodes now, I am asking you, have you checked in with yourself? Have you asked yourself how you're feeling? Have you asked yourself what's your emotions like? I want to know all the tea, so bring it. Another segment I like to do before getting into the nitty-gritty of my episode is a healing hack. My healing hack is actually the same healing hack as last time, and that is creating content. So I won't go into it because I wanted to do it last time, but go back and listen to that episode. But I really just spoke on how creating content, I gave myself a goal, but I also love that I've been enjoying the ride of creating content for my Instagram, my personal Instagram, Girl That's J Kyle, and my Just Healing Instagram, as well as of course the podcast. So I've just been really feeling good in this space of creating and being a creative, because at my core, that is what I am. If you know me, you know, at my core, I am a creative in all ways, all things. So I've been really grateful for the opportunity to be able to not only create, but hopefully inspire, hopefully help to heal, and hopefully just let someone see that even when you're not completely on the other side and out of it, you can be content while your life is on fire. You can be surrounded by God, even though it seems like you're surrounded by chaos. And yeah, that's just been really helping. Today's episode is a little different. It's actually kind of a bonus episode. So I wanted to start doing kind of like mid episodes in between my episodes. So of course I want to focus this on my story and my testimony and others that I bring on. But I also want to highlight different things that are happening in pop culture that are relevant to healing and relevant to my content in general. So today I would like to talk about the tWitchBoss / Allison Holker. Just madness. It's madness. I am not gonna lie, as someone who used to dance, I never watched You Think You Can Dance. So I really didn't even know who Twitch was until I seen him on the Ellen show. And so I feel like how some people feel about Twitch, how they were just like, oh my gosh, I loved him since So You Think You Can Dance, and I loved him on Ellen. I really didn't even watch Ellen like that. So I really only knew him from Ellen. And then I would, see him on Instagram, of course. And that's what I want to get to. When I would see him on Instagram, it seemed to me like, he kind of just was enjoying life with his wife and his 3 kids. I definitely thought the oldest was his daughter as well. She's not. Also, Allison said she's not even white. I mean, not even black. She's white, which was really interesting to me because the little girl definitely looks biracial, and I don't know if that was something that was done purposely. Like, I want my white kid to look like my biracial kid. I don't know. Like, this woman has thrown me for such a loop that I wouldn't be surprised by anything that she does. She's definitely a type, and I'm gonna get into it just with my experience of women like her. So yes, StephenTwitchBoss unalived himself allegedly in 2022. When the news broke, I honestly thought it was weird. It just didn't sound right. It was like he left, he didn't come back. No one really checked on him. When I say no one, I mean his whole wife. And then, she found out that he unalived himself, and then she, I think, called the police maybe like a day late. I don't know. It just was weird, and it just really gave me a very eerie feeling. But at the same time, as someone who hadn't dealt with that kind of loss at that point, and when I say that kind of loss, I mean, obviously I just lost my dad this past year, so I know now that grief is so different, especially when it's that type of loss. But I feel like I knew then from just knowing, I know now from experience, if that makes sense. And so I wasn't really one of the ones who was trying to judge her based off of how she was taking it, because I'm just like, at the end of the day, maybe she's holding it together because she has 3 young kids that she has to hold it together for. Like, I get that. Like, I don't think you have to experience that to know that, yeah, if you have young kids, like, I can't really be like mopping myself across the floor because I have a 5-year-old who just lost their dad. So I tried to look at it from that lens when she was because even when he passed away, she was being dragged. And obviously they knew something we didn't know, because I'm like, okay, I get it now. And then when he passed away originally, I just remember being like, there's no way she had anything to do with it. And I still don't know any of the circumstances. This is all alleged, my opinion, and just my observations of when you are quite literally sleeping with the enemy. And I just know that all too well. I know sleeping with the enemy all too well. It ain't just a movie. It ain't just a movie. You can be laid up with someone every single night who quite literally hates your guts. And that's what I need us to know. Neither here nor there. So yeah, when the news first came out, I was just like, this all sounds weird, but y'all are really pushing it with some of the stuff y'all are saying. I'm sure you guys have seen by now in the news that Allison had an interview, as well as she has a book coming out, which seems to be all about Twitch, because also there's this other piece that people like me, and I know I'm not the only one, didn't even know who Twitch was. They definitely didn't know who Allison was. Like, I did not know who she was. But when I would see her dancing in their videos, it was just something about her eyes. And let me take that as a segue into the Allison type. We're going to call it the Allison. You know how usually they call it the Karen? We're going to call it the Allison during this video. Well, episode. I have met a few Allisons in my life who are like her down to the T. The most spot on version I can think of an Allison is my old coworker, who was actually almost my boss. So I used to work at an engineering firm. I would put their name out here, but we're classy. We're classy. I'm not even going to do that. But I used to work at a huge engineering firm, both in the United States as well as international. I mean, it was huge. Worked on some of the most, like, the projects were insane. And so I was an executive assistant to 4 of the principal engineers, and 3 of those engineers were structural. It was really cool. They worked on like different sports buildings, different like arenas, I mean everything you can think of. It was cool. There was also it's also important to note that before she became my boss, so I technically wasn't there when she became my boss. I was still on maternity leave, but I had like my goals talk with her, and she had said like, well, I don't really want to change your title to executive assistant. And I'm like, well, I'm supporting executives. Your title is executive assistant before it was office manager, so why can't, like, I'm supporting executives. I'm not an admin, because I'm not just supporting project managers. I'm supporting executives. They're literally principals. And that's when I knew she was a hater. Actually, I knew she was a hater before that, because we got into it about Martin Luther King Day. Also, that's coming up. So it's literally like the anniversary of that, which I'm going to try to find that email, because when I say I read Lil Mama for filth, okay? And that's on MLK. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, we just didn't work well together. But when I left my home in 2023, I was still on maternity leave. And so she didn't know all of what was going on. And I think that's what bothered her. But the office manager before she was my boss knew what was going on. I also didn't tell her what was going on because, number 1, she wasn't my boss at the time. And number 2, she was probably the worst pick that they could have picked for an office manager, because that at our office really served as like a level of HR as well. And mamas could not keep her mouth closed, like, at all. Between me and y'all, I really think she was also having relations with some of the engineers, but that's not my business. That's not my business. So yeah, she didn't really know, but she knew enough. And she also knew that there had been times that my ex had actually popped up at my job to see if I was there. So she knew enough to the point where, oh, you know what? Actually, she did know something else, because I remember one day I had escaped my home and went to, I think that was the time I went to his dad's apartment. That's a whole nother story, child. But anyway, that next day, I was late to work because I didn't even have time to grab clothes. So I literally woke up that morning super early, went to Target at like 7 a.m., got me and my daughter something to wear for the day, and just went to work, dropped her off at school, and acted like nothing happened. But when I got there, I had slight scratches on my face as well, and my face was kind of like puffy. And she asked, you know, like, what's wrong? Because I also didn't have on makeup because I didn't have any makeup. Child, it was a mess. And I had told her what happened, and I was like, you know, pretty much we stayed away from the house last night, and yeah, that's what happened. And she was just like, oh my gosh, you stayed away from the house? Like, how did you explain that to your daughter? Huh? Like, ma'am, I was protecting myself. Like, what do you mean? I knew then she was a bird face. But anyway, let me get back to the story so I can show y'all how she's in Allison. So I called her when I relocated to Texas. I called her like that next day. Actually, I came on a Friday. I ended up calling her. No, I got here on a Saturday. I ended up calling her. I emailed her that Saturday and said, hey, can we set up a call on Monday? Because keep in mind, I wasn't at work because I was still on maternity leave. Called her on that Monday. Explained everything to her. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Oh my gosh. I really think she was a little salty that I was one of the ones who got out, because her husband had actually just completed his little affair with one of his coworkers. And he had literally got like an apartment with this lady and everything. They had signed a lease. They had enough rooms for their kids. She left her husband, child. It was a mess. But ultimately, he was like, you know, I want my family, so I guess I'm gonna stay with you because I want my family. Because she was also pregnant at the same time as me, but she went to work. She went back to work before me, but we were pregnant at the same time. Like, our babies are like 4 weeks apart. So she was like, I want my family with you. You wanted your family when you were signing a lease with another woman. Boy, bye. But I think that, you know, for her, she was just like, you know, I need to keep up that image. I need to keep my perfect Christmas card to send out to everybody to show them how much of a happily married woman I am with 2 children now. And you know what, girl? Looking like the U-Haul truck you were shaped like, go for it. That probably is best for you. As for me and my house, it ain't flying. So anyway, she's telling me how horrible this is. And she's like, okay, well, you know, I guess in the interim, I think it would be really important that we kept you aboard. We have a lot of stuff coming up that we would need your help with. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, because I didn't know what going into this call was going to be like. Like, I truly understood if just off the bat, she would have been like, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Unfortunately, this is an in-person position. We cannot have you stay here. That's not what she did. That's not what she did. She actually played on my emotions, made all this stuff like, oh, even if you needed to go into the Dallas office, like, you know, maybe once a week, once a month, whatever, we can figure that out. Let me get with our office director and we can figure something out and we'll get back to you. She scheduled it for like the next day at like 11 a.m. Child, I didn't hear nothing from this broad, like nothing. But who I did hear from the next day in the afternoon was our HR lady. HR lady I never even met before. She's in another state. And she's like, hey, I heard that you're relocating, so you're no longer with the company. Sorry to see you go. Here's the checklist we need for you to mail all your stuff back, and bye-bye. So I get on my laptop. I'm trying to email our office director because I'm like, okay, obviously I'm not going through floozy bird brain. I'm gonna just go through somebody else. Y'all, I don't have no access to my email. None. So I emailed him from my personal email. So then when I realized I didn't have any access to my email, I then reached back out to the HR lady for my personal email, and I'm like, excuse me, we have a problem. Number one, I'm still on maternity leave. Number two, why don't I have access to my email as an employee when all I did was talk to this chick for one day? How do you know, bird brain, that when you came back and was like, no, we can't do that, I wouldn't have been like, okay, well, I guess I need to risk my life and move back so that I can take care of my child. You just never know. But no, you wanted to be sneaky and evil, because that's what it really is. It's evil. It's a satanic root that are at some of the peak of these Allisons. There's a satanic root. I argue with your mama about it. There's a satanic root at the core of some of these Allisons. And so I started talking all this legal jargon. Next thing I know, I got my email back. Allison decided to send an email to the entire office saying that I moved, I'll miss them, and I'm no longer with the company. It was like, hey team. You know, they love a hey team. Hey team, Jasmine said, Jasmine wanted me to let you guys know she has moved on, you know, with becoming a new mom again. She's just going to go ahead and not return to the company. She sent that. And what's worse than that is she cut off my email access so I wouldn't get it and sent that. So then I sent an email from Jasmine. It's the ghost. It's the ghost of the employee pass. Like, bruh, are you kidding me? You think you're gonna sit up here? Ooh, y'all, don't let me get mad again. I was like, I need HR, I need office director and Allison on a call tomorrow, because we about to blow some stuff up. Of course, Allison didn't show up, because that is what Allisons do. They throw rocks, they hide their hands, they like to act all innocent, they like to act like you're now all of a sudden so afraid of me and you think I'm gonna beat you up. What? I don't know. I've never even been in a fight before. Choose another black woman. Like, it ain't this one over here. And so, pretty much the ultimate into that was that they paid me out. They paid out like my COBRA and all of that. But my point is, I feel like with Allison's, there is a satanic core, and that's scary when it's someone that you're with. And I know, you know, my own story is obviously the abuse of a man, but I really wanted to come on here and just shed light that it's not always the man. It's not always the man. And just by her actions now, that woman has always been like that. And I remember when I first seen the news about her book and her interview, I'm just like, these are, unfortunately though, black men's preferences. Black men love to go after anything that looks nothing like they mamas. Child, black men will play in the face of a black woman and think they doing something by getting an Allison, and that Allison hates them. Hates them. She hated StephenTwitchBoss, period. Let me tell you why I know she hated him. Number one, for you to come on to the internet 2 years after his death and say he was an addict. Ma'am, y'all were married for 10 years. And you mean to tell me you done had babies with this man? You done brought this man around your daughter that's obviously not his, obviously not even mixed. Mind-boggling. But you done did all this and you didn't know he was an addict? You slept with this man every night and you didn't know he was an addict? You made dance TikToks all day with this man and you didn't know he was an addict? He didn't have to take a break to go sniff some? Like, what is happening? You didn't see any changes in his behavior? There are so many questions to where it's like, either you just were so freaking in your own world because you're so happy that this black man is taking care of you that you're not even enough of a woman to pay attention, be alert, open your eyes, wake up. Like, how aren't you noticing this? How aren't you noticing that a full-blown addict is around your children every single day? Oh, because he wasn't an addict. Like, you know an addict when you see an addict. Addicts have addict behavior. Addicts have addict behavior. Argue with somebody else. I have enough addicts in my family to know addicts have addict behavior. Secondly, it is so disrespectful to go through the journals of your late husband and expose everything about him. To expose that he was SA'd as a child by another man is disgusting. Disgusting. And what you really are is upset that he never told you as his wife. So y'all didn't like each other. Let's start there. All those little TikToks, that was something hiding that y'all didn't like each other. Because he wasn't even comfortable to share with you that he had been SA'd as a child. That is something detrimental in your life, and he was not even comfortable with you because he knew you were a snake. He knew you were a snake. And to just expose that when that wasn't even your business. Number one, it wasn't your business, but number two, it wasn't even told to you. So it's not like he told you something and now you're telling us. No, he didn't even tell you, mamas. He didn't even tell you. Third, exposing the whole he was an addict. I know I just talked about it, but that's disgusting. Because again, you don't even know that. Because obviously you weren't paying attention. You didn't say, oh, I felt like I knew that, but that confirmed. Even though that still wouldn't have been enough to tell his business, because at the end of the day, when he passed away, y'all were still married. Y'all weren't divorced. Y'all were still married. If he was still here today, you would be kikiing with your little, let me not talk about children. You would be kikiing around with him doing TikToks, probably doing y'all farewell TikTok dance because TikTok's going bye-bye on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere. So, it's like, now he's an addict, that he's dead and not able to, advocate for himself. That's disgusting, ma'am. The third reason why she's disgusting and why I feel like Allisons have a satanic core is that she was willing to allow her teenage daughter to get on such a cruel platform. The internet is so cruel. To get on such a cruel platform and talk about this man like he didn't raise her. The disrespect to a black father who was being a father. The disrespect, which again, they hate y'all. But y'all want to be wanted and desired by them so much, and they hate y'all. And it sucks. It sucks because there are black women out here who will go to war for y'all, and y'all refuse to want anything that looks like your mother's. I digress. Let's keep going. You let your child get on here and call this man by his first name. Say that, this man, I see what people are saying by, keep it clean. She's a kid. Okay, why? Her mom didn't care, because her mom literally pretty much threw her to the wolves. That's what she did. Lastly, how she's treating his family. To require that man's mother to sign an NDA, mother and other family, but especially mother. Like with the family, sometimes you do have to do that with other family members, like fourth cousins, third cousins, second cousins. Sometimes you do, because you don't know, what everyone's motive is. But to make his mother sign an NDA to see her child's body, nasty work. Nasty work. That woman hates you. That woman hates your family. That woman hates everything that you stand for. And that is what I want Black men to know. They hate you. Most of these women come from backgrounds where it literally was ingrained to hate you. These women have families and ancestors who owned your families and ancestors. So you don't think that it's not in their bloodline to want to also add to it? I want to have some fun. I want to feel like, I own somebody too. It's just disgusting. I really hope that his family is able to get some type of justice from this, because her lackluster in the beginning was telling, but now it's almost like more has to come out, because something's just not right. Yeah, I just wanted to throw in a little bonus episode. Like I said, I want to do that often. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts about Allison Boss and, just her in general, just the situation. And yeah, we'll go from there. But again, I don't know how many times I said it in this episode, but to all of my Black men, just be cautious. Don't think with your flesh. Don't think with lust. And stop hating who you are. You are a Black man. So even if you have a child by a white woman, guess what? Your kids are still going to be Black. There's nothing you can do to change it. So keep that in mind. And just keep in mind that not all, and I'm not, guys, I promise you, this is not about all interracial couples. It's just about the Black men who get it. The Black women who get it. We know. I went most of my life being told I'm pretty for a dark-skinned girl. And so I know all about preferences all too well. So yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. That really, the whole thing just really has me in a tussy, because sleeping with the enemy is not a joke. Sleeping with somebody who hates you is not a joke. Being married to somebody who hates you is just not for the faint of the hearts. If you're not following me on my platforms, please be sure to do so. You guys have about 48 hours to get that follow in on the TikTok, because y'all boy Trumpy said pretty much he's leaving it up to the Supreme Court. I don't know what none of that means. But yeah, make sure you're following me on YouTube, Just Healing Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Just Healing Podcast, Spotify, Just Healing Podcast, Instagram, Just Healing Podcast, and like I said, for the next 48 hours, TikTok, Just Healing Podcast. Please be sure to rate, like, subscribe, do what y'all need to do. Follow, okay? And I will talk to you guys in my next episode. Bye.